going through life, I am the brand. It's a tough life. I tell my wife always says, and yeah, thank God. I heard a song the other day, and he said it was from 1979. So I knew that my wife and I had heard that song, and it was like, I'm with my wife 40 years. You know, I'm like, wow. You know, when I say 40 years to most people, they'll go, same woman? I got no 3 sets of 10. Yeah. But it's 40 years. But my wife is the best because, you know, my job is to be funny man. So I'll come home and she'll be like, where's Funny Man? How come Funny Man never comes home? Where's Funny Man? I go, Funny Man's exhausted making money to bring home his Funny Man. Can I go to the couch for a little while? And I'm like, and she just loves to do that to me. Where's Funny Man? But you know, it's that character we develop, who we become, what we do. But that's outside. That's what I do. This is what I do. You know, I don't want it to get caught up in this is who I am. You know, this is what I do. And a lot of the think about that when you go into your business, it's what you do. Right? But it's driven by who you are. So your character, your values, your core values drive it all. That's for a whole nother story. I'm moving along, Chris. Fear of a large audience. Anyone? Okay, we did good. No one. No one. Sure. I'm sorry?
I was.
You was?
And I had to overcome it.
What was your breakthrough? Share it.
A large audience.
No.
Yeah,
no,
could be.
it's just repeating it, repeating it, repeating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In order to get over the fear, not running away from it.
Yeah. The learning's in the doing. Learning's in the doing. My mentor, go ahead.
I can tell you that I've gotten a lot less critical on me where I've become less critical on other people's people.
Yeah. Everybody is where they are, right? And if they don't ask you for advice and they don't ask you for an opinion, don't give one.
That's a struggle.
Yeah, that's your. I have 3 daughters. I give no opinions. Go ahead.
I get more nervous in front of audiences like this than I do in front of an audience of
I
1,500
remember you told me
people.
that. I remember that last time we
Because this
talked.
is way more intimate,
Yeah.
and I have friends here,
Yeah.
you know. And
Peers.
sometimes I feel like you're more judged by your friends, and it's totally not true, but it's your own internal gremlin speaking. But I can easily go up and talk to 1,500 people without an issue.
And that's where my success comes in. I have no friends. It's beautiful. I don't care what you think. No, I understand. So if you're in peers, you know, when I do training, right, and I go out to corporations, I have to remind everybody in the beginning, this is going to be your toughest audience because you're going to see these people every day.
Right.
Me, most people I meet them once. You know, I got 1,500 people in an audience. They're just there. Go ahead.
I would say another thing too, with a large audience, 9 times out of 10 you can't see them
And it's dark in the audience.
because it's dark. You can't see them, so it's almost like talking into air. So,
There's so many. I'll give you a few tips of talking. With this is just doing this, and it really is intimate. So get up and talk to people. Step up. You know, if you were hanging with your friends and there were 6 of you there, you'd be talking to each other, right? Waiting your turn and going, guess what? The best part about this, it's always your turn.
Right.
I love that. Why do you think I do this? It's always my turn. I love it. Yeah, but it's get intimate. Get down, get out, get your microphone, talk to people. Be in control. Don't let this happen to you. You're better than that. So go out there and just remind yourself. Because, yeah, you can hide behind the big audience because nobody's really noticing. But with the large audience, the only difference is my mentor years ago, so, you know, I was a clown for years. I don't know if you know that. I toured the world in Japan. I was a professional clown. That's where it all started. Big shoes, big nose, everything going on. I loved everything. But my career started to really boom, and people were meeting me. Chris had mentioned me performing for the Yankees for years, and touring Japan for years. But I was just a guy from New Jersey who decided I wanted to do, you know, entertainment, become a clown. I loved Red Skelton and all that kind of stuff. Wasn't my dream as a kid, but I grew into it, you know. And I said to my mentor, I'm going to Japan to perform to the biggest audiences I've ever performed. What do I do? And he said, you make yourself bigger. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So you might say, how do you make yourself bigger, right? I'm just here. So in this audience, I have to bring myself down a little bit. I can't be on top of you or beating it down. So if I'm having a conversation that's like this, we can talk here. Now, if it's this part of the audience over here, I can open my hands a little bit. I love this. If you don't use your hands for gestures, use them for this. This is the most inclusive thing you can do. And talking about vulnerable, I'm actually right now opening myself up to you. That's what I'm telling you is, hey, we're here together. Let's enjoy this. So we've got this. And try this. Practice this next time you're at an event. Talking to one person. Talking to this part of the room. And then, boom, the whole crowd. And I just worked out my biceps the other day. I am dying. I can't even move. That's as far as I can get my arms. I am hurting, I gotta tell you. So that's how you connect. You connect by letting people in. Open up your arms. Hey everybody, good morning, good to see you. This includes everybody in the room. And when you're talking here and talking here, that's what you do. All right, any other questions, large audience? There's no difference. Go out and give a talk. So pick somebody in the audience. Great little secret, great little tip. Find that friendly face. That's from my comedy background. You got to find that person who's laughed so you can focus on them and take their energy back to the stage so it keeps you rolling, right? You need to find that friend. So I was at it wasn't investment bankers, it was mortgages. For some reason, I get all the people who, what are they, S's?
C's.
C's, all the C's. They hire me to come in because I'm going to liven up the event because they're expecting me to come out and throw data out, like numbers and stuff. And I don't do data and numbers, I do fun. So that's why they bring me in, right? But I'm looking and I'm doing this talk and I've got nothing, no reaction, nothing. Sitting there going, please, can you bring up some numbers? You got any spreadsheets, man? You know, I'm looking, but I had this one woman who was over to my left a little bit. I remember it was in the Park Avenue Club, and she was smiling and nodding. So I would talk over here, get nothing, go back to a little smile and nod, go back, and at the end I walked up to her and I said, thank you, I really appreciate the smiles and the nod. She goes, I saw where you were at. She goes, this ain't easy. She goes, I do this all day long. You know, nobody converses, nobody talks, everybody wants to hide behind their screens, and I get it. So you have to find our personalities and move along with it. So, lack of preparation, the #1 killer of anybody going out to do a presentation. Why wouldn't you take the time to prepare, right? If this is going to be a presentation that's going to put you over the top, that's going to move you somewhere, and if you're presenting your business and you're not really knocking it out of the park, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You got to go out and knock it out of the park. I don't know about you, anybody here have competition for what you do? Wow. Everywhere, right? Back when I started, the most competition was in the yellow pages. Now it's at your fingertips, right? You know, it's like who's going to come up in this long feed of people, right? So we have to connect. And most people, if you're going to go out and do a presentation, prepare. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Just keep going on. Zig used to always say, and I got a head full of zig, and there's nothing better than having a head full of zig. You got to plan to win, you got to prepare to win, and most importantly, you got to expect to win. See, that's where the being part comes in. When you have to if you plan to win and you plan it out and you prepare your presentation, your expectations will be, I'm going to knock this out of the ballpark, right? But if you don't prepare and you show up and you didn't plan anything out, you're going to be going, oh my God, am I going to get through this? Oh my God, how do I get through this? I'm not really ready for this. What am I going to do, right? So it's up to you. You get this thinking going. Public speaking is all about thinking and confidence. That's all it is. There's nothing more to it. This isn't magic, nothing to it like that. You know, this is a learned skill. One thing I love to say, most of the things we do in life, oh, I couldn't do that, you know, like juggling. Like I'm like the spec, because I can juggle. People look at me, oh my God, I could never juggle. And I look and go, if I can juggle, you can juggle. Listen, what are you kidding me? Listen, I'm not the most coordinated guy in the world. I can juggle, woohoo, right? But it's the same type of thing. You just get up and you do it. And sooner or later, you get better at it, right? First time you worked with stones and stuff, right? You created something that didn't look the best, right? And then over time, better, better, better. Maybe we add this, maybe we move this. That's what public speaking is about. Same thing. Get up and do it. So, unable to control anxiety. Does anybody feel anxious when they speak?
I remember the first time I had to speak. When I stood up, when they called my name, I felt the blood rush from my head. I thought I was going to faint. I actually thought I was going to pass out.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, your heart starts to race. You get all sorts of stuff going. Yeah, and a lot of people. And it's fascinating to me. People that you have conversations with and talk to, and you know, really nice and bubbly people, they get so much anxiety they'd rather not do it, right? Why would I bother? If I'm going to get anxiety, why would I bother? What was your questions? The two things you wanted me to touch on in the beginning?
Fear of forgetting my points.
Okay.
That's the number one thing.
Okay. So fear of forgetting your points was what I was saying about. We'll get to that as the PowerPoints. So. These are your points, like if this was your presentation, your points would be up here. So you don't have to fear. And I have to say it, they're cheat notes. If you use them right, you know, you get some people that don't do their preparation, don't know what they're talking about, and they're going, unable to control anxiety, and right, and they got their back to you, you lose your audience, right? So then it just becomes, this is to enhance your presentation, this isn't your presentation. Remember that. It's to enhance your presentation. Makes it nice, makes it pretty, gives them something to look at besides me. So I make it as pretty as possible. So unable to continue, don't say anything, Ted. Thanks.
I'm just trying to read that word.
On the middle one?
It's giving me anxiety.
Nice. So the point being is, so you don't forget your points, is to write them down. For you, the easiest way I can think of right now is no matter what your talk is, 5 things you should know, 7 things everybody should know about. So that way you know you have to talk about 7 things, right? And sometimes you're going through your presentation and I've seen people freak out because they looked and they gave 6 and they realized they skipped over number 4. And what did nobody knows? And but they're like, oh my God, 4 was what we were like. Just tell them 4 and go up there and say, you know what? I skipped over 4. You know, we're people. And people love that. People love when you're just you. So, okay, points. And what was the other one? That's it? We're done? You didn't write it down? I told you when we talked, I said I was not going to remember it. I wasn't kidding. Yeah, it's okay. I get it. All right, any questions, comments? Can I help you with something up to this point? Something that you can do right now that I can show you that'll help you in your business? Anything? You're all good? You all got it? You ready to rock?
You know, Tom, you have a PowerPoint presentation,
Right?
and there are props and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Out of your 6,000, do you use predominantly PowerPoint? Are there times, of course, you have a breakdown in the, the equipment, and then you got to roll.
Well, that's why I say this isn't your presentation. This is doing. I've been many times where you walk in, especially 5, 7 years ago. Technology is great now. You just plug into everything. Now they got television. You used to have projectors. Projector wouldn't match. Remember, the projector wouldn't connect with the computer wouldn't connect with your clicker. Yeah, you were doomed. I've seen people come and quit. Same type of thing, because they made the presentation on their computer, and that's not what it is. So remember, if you're going to give a talk, you better be able to give that talk with or without, at all times. And no matter what it be, go ahead.
What do you think about handouts, even a handout of the PowerPoint or the presentation? I've heard very different opinions about that.
I'll give you mine. The reason I don't give out handouts is because I don't want people reading and doing stuff while I'm talking, because then I got to battle them. There's so many distractions now. One less distraction is great. I might hand them out at the end, like, here, take these home with you. This is everything. So I hope that helps. For me, now that's a personal decision. Now, if you're saying you're going to give out handouts so people can play along, but why would you want to give out handouts? Why would you do it personally?
At one point in my career, I did a lot of smaller meetings, 10 to 20 people. And it was a way, I thought, of letting people know I prepared for this. Because I've been to so many meetings where the person got up and was clearly unprepared and it rambled. And I wanted to let people know, yes, I prepared for this, we have an agenda, and this is a way of signaling that. But I've heard also people say, as soon as you hand somebody something like that, they're looking to see when the end is. So I haven't decided which one of those two.
That's great. You know what I'll offer people, which is good now? Maybe this will help you out. If anybody wants this PowerPoint, just send me your email. I'll give you the PowerPoint and an email. Not only that does it builds your email list too. So if you got a little present for people, right? You got to give to receive, so you give. So I hope that helps. Chris, you had a question?
Yeah, she just answered it, whether or not you, so I don't use PowerPoints because they're distracting for me. You saw, even introducing this talk, technology goes wrong, it throws me. It just throws me for a second or two. So I avoid the PowerPoints. But I like the idea of a speaker saying, I'll send it to you, give me your email address, because it's a way of you capturing it. So that's great.
And it's worth it. Most people's PowerPoint is there. And I saw this word going on, there's their intellectual property, right? So we want to hang on to that. I saw that. And what was your question?
Well, I was going to say, a lot of times, my audience, seniors.
Right.
Some of them may have email, most do not. Most of them want something in their hand. They want to write
during
down.
Or after?
During.
Okay.
And they write notes down in their writing. So I find myself, even though I don't want to, I find that I have to give it because they're like, gotta have it, and they're lost without it.
If that makes your audience comfortable, it makes that audience your friend, do whatever makes your audience comfortable. Remember, it's not about you. It's never about you. It's always about your audience. So if that has to work for you and that's how it works, so what? That's what works. Do what works. There's no right or wrong to this. Whatever works for you is the most important thing, and that your audience is clear on what you're saying. Amanda?
I went to a presentation actually at my center the other day. It was the 7 steps to your best self. It was a life coach, mom turned life coach, and what was memorable for me is she handed out 3 things. She handed out a blank sheet of paper that had her logo up top, and then on the bottom it said, please take your notes here, or like write down your questions, we'll address them. All of us were writing furiously throughout the night. And then she left a magnet that had the 7 steps on it, so that when you go home, you can stick it on your refrigerator.
Awesome.
And it had her contact information at the bottom. And then the last page that she gave us was basically a highlight sheet of all the points with a few bullets under each, so that as she was giving her talk, you literally had the reference sheet to take home with you. So she gave the magnet, she gave the blank sheet of paper for notes, and then she gave the reference sheet. So instead of printing out your entire presentation, perhaps you could do something like that.
It works. Whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat, there's nothing wrong with this here. Chris, how we doing time-wise? Good?
8 minutes?
8 minutes? Anybody have
Ish.
1-minute questions?
8 people have 1-minute questions?
What's that?
8 people have 1-minute questions.
My favorite here, lack of preparation, lack of proper training. And I say it, listen, I do presentation, executive speech coaching, presentation skills training. I do it all, right? Wherever it might be. People hire me all the time, it's what I love to do. But you did hear me say that everybody should go to Toastmasters. I would prefer working with you after a year of Toastmasters, right? Toastmasters will get you good. When you work with me, we'll take you to great, right? And that's the way I look at it. You know, the beginning, you should start to work that on yourself, and then come back and say to me, listen, I want to take this to the next step. Right, so somebody who really wants to be a tremendous presenter, who wants their presentations to be over the top, that's who I want to work with. You know, somebody who just wants to learn public speaking, my first suggestion is, you're not going to get any value out of me, right? Because I can show you what to do, but it's going to take us a year to get you to where you're even going to get in front of an audience and do it professionally. So that's another thing. I always say to this about people, there are people who can speak in public, but it doesn't make them a public speaker. There's a switch, there's a point where it really becomes something completely different in life. And you see them, there's people who are good at public speaking, and they go out, do their presentation, and then you'll see a public speaker, and you'll be like, wow, that's amazing. Like, it's the first time I saw Zig, I was blown away. I was locked in. Amazing. So the answer is to get yourself the proper training in anything you're doing. And that's why I always say, if I'm here today, and you're not asking me a question on what I can do to help you be a better presenter, then you got to go home with that, because I have the answer for what you're looking for. So I always say that in the beginning of my presentation. Don't be afraid to ask me. Chances I know the answer to it. This is all I've ever done, right? So think about it. Don't leave without asking me a question today. All right, are you ready? Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
If you have the option, podium or no podium?
I always know podium. Now, what about you?
My default would be to have a podium.
You mind if I tell you why I think? Do you
That's
mind?
why I asked the question.
Because it's such a comfort zone, without even knowing it, to have something in between you and the audience. It's like you got a shield. No, you can't come in, right? But for me, I want to open up to everybody. Even if I had one and it was on a stage, I might put my stuff there, but I always want to connect with the audience here. So if you're going to give a presentation, there's all different kinds. Motivational, inspirational, educational, informational. And you put all 4 together, it becomes transformational. That's the way I like to look at it. So if you're going out and you're just informing people of the state of the company or the state of the union address type of thing, then get behind the podium and just give the information, right? It doesn't need to be motivational. It doesn't need to be, it's informational. Or maybe I'm perhaps going to educate you. Even if you were educating, I want you to come out from behind the podium. But informational, stay there. And just, not you?
People are going to fall asleep. You've got to be engaged. You've got to engage them. I talk to engineers with engineering information.
Oh, there you
I
go.
put the podium on the side and I engage them.
You better, it's engineers, yeah. I got you. Engagement's the big part. That's what I say. I would never use it, but I'm just trying to say if you're comfortable with it, depends on what kind of a presentation you're giving, and especially how long. You're right. If it goes on too long and you're just going through it, like ladies and gentlemen, here now the news, people are going to snooze. So you figure out what makes you comfortable, but ask yourself why you're using it and peel back the artichoke. Get to the heart of the matter. Why is it there? And once you discover that, maybe you can get rid of it. So it's up to you.
So when I do the Alt-Tab event every year, it's a 4-hour talk, right? I
Right.
need the podium, I need a place to put my notes.
Right?
But it becomes that home base, it
Sure.
becomes safe, and it's a buffer. I get what it is,
It's home base. Tag you're it, right? You run behind your base.
right? But I don't use PowerPoints, and maybe I should start, and that'll free me up from having to have notes in front of me.
Well, you know,
Maybe
it's-
you'll
yeah.
teach me in the next year. We'll see.
Well, you know, you've come such a long way, so just look at it. There's no right or wrong. If you feel like you want to improve something, then improve it. But you know, I always look at it, you know, nothing needs to be fixed, nobody's broken, things just need to be improved. So if you need to improve something, think about what you want to improve. If you think the PowerPoint is going to improve your presentation, then by all means, do a PowerPoint. Yes,
Steve,
I'm sorry, I'll get you. Go ahead.
Oh.
No, you.
I would say with the podium, I prefer not to use the podium
Mhm.
because I like to move around.
Right.
And sometimes when a person has, or a group has invited me to speak, they put the podium there.
Mhm.
And then they have the microphone attached to
Yeah.
the podium.
Yeah.
And it almost it's forcing you
Mhm.
to stay behind the podium. And I like to move around, I have to move. If I'm behind the podium, I'm almost like,
If the mic is there, you're kind of stuck. The mic's there. But the answer to that, I was mentioning to Chris earlier, you know, no matter where I go in a training room, nobody's going to leave me stuck. I carry my own microphone, I carry my own speakers, I carry everything. I have projected everything. When I go in, nothing's going to break down because I have it in my car. Even if it's a screen, a projector, I have it all. I'm not going to let my presence, because no matter what, if it goes bad, they're not thinking that the hotel didn't set it up right. They're going to be like, look at this guy, what a stiff. So I protect myself at all times. My professionalism is to always have that. So it's funny, I always have my own microphone with me, no matter what.
see, I carry my own projector, but now I will do that.
There's great systems for under $350 that you can pick up that will work just fine for you. And I keep it in my car. It's still in my car right now if I needed it. So yeah, that's my suggestion. Steve, you got a question?
I was just gonna say, with the presentation I did yesterday morning, I realized I was unprepared. I should have had a laser pointer. Because going up and pointing at stuff and blocking half of it, it didn't occur to me just till our discussion today, how ill prepared I was and how bad that must have looked, pointing it this way, looking when I
Yep.
should have been engaging the audience.
Well,
And this one's a free one for you. You peel back the choke or the artichoke to eliminate the choke, you get to the heart. So you're trying to eliminate the choke, but no.
nice. That was for free?
That's free.
Oh.
Thank you, that was the end of my presentation.
If I didn't need it, I would drop the mic right now. I'll walk right off the stage, man.
Eliminate the joke.
Or as remember what Stymie said, remember? It might have choked Artie, but it ain't gonna choke Stymie. Little rascals, anybody?
Some advice for Steve. Not only do I bring my own laser pointer, but I also bring my own collapsible pointer stick.
Yes, yeah.
Because a lot
Nice.
of the modern screens, you point the laser at it, you can't see the laser
Sure,
dot.
okay,
So
awesome.
I get the
Thank
pointer stick with the foam tip.
Amanda's question, Tom.
No, I'm just seeing if I have, well, you're right, it doesn't work on that. My eye!
So I'm at the point now where I'm looking to rebrand myself from the speaker who speaks on military talent programs to the speaker who speaks on
Mhm.
building community and driving business through authentic community. I'm looking for those opportunities, but I've never had to go to the New Jersey market for my speaking engagements because I've always been hired primarily in New York City or elsewhere.
Good.
Where do I start?
Yeah. Well,
Hire Tommy.
what we're gonna do, what's coming up in the future, I'm gonna be doing a presentation called Speaking as a Business, right? Because most people don't think of that. So feel free, any questions you need answers offline, we've known each other a long time. So, yeah, you have to start now, you start thinking about, understand this is the best way I can give you the analogy. This is the show. So if you think of showbiz,
Right.
every time I'm